first question. Um, Explain how your kind of psychic journey started.
So my mum used to do psychic work when I was younger, and I was very much used to people coming in and out of the family home. Obviously, being young, I didn't have much interest in it back then. I remember her coming into the room one day and she had all of her cards in her hands and she was about to bin them. So I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And she was like, I want to do new ventures and things like that. So at that time, I was about 16, so I was old enough to make my own decisions. And I just basically said, without a thought in my mind, can I have them? She was like, go for it. And that's how it started. I basically gave myself readings. It started to resonate. I gave friends and family readings, and yeah. And in the end, they were like, you've got to do it. It's a full-time job.
So I guess how did it start for your mum? Like, where did it start? Like, where does that lineage kind of start from then?
Do you know what? That was a funny story. She got hypnotized and she came out with the fact that she had this guardian angel and she knew the name, she knew everything about all this sort of weird stuff. And that was her calling. She got hypnotized for a phobia, actually. So it was completely unrelated. And that's how her journey started. But to be honest, we come from a very intuitive family. My nan's like it, my great nan was like it. So
Oh,
yeah.
so when you started kind of doing this as a career, I guess,
Yeah.
how did you kind of decide that that's what you wanted to do, and like what was the reaction from friends and family?
My friends and family loved it because everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Um, I don't know, I just find it interesting. I've always been into paranormal and all of that sort of thing. And it's quite a rewarding job as well because so many people have come to me about very sensitive subjects. And they've sort of said to me, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have got through that situation. So I do find it really rewarding.
I first came across you with the whole Jay Slater situation,
Yeah.
and you managed to get where he was spot on.
Hmm.
Explain to me how that works and how you come up with something like that.
Well, I don't tend to like to do situations like that, but obviously when you're a known sort of psychic and that, a lot of people want to find out if you can delve into crime stories and mysteries and stuff. So I gave it a little bit of time out of respect for the family. But people just kept asking me, can you try and find out and that? But the thing is police and that, they don't want to know with psychics and stuff. So I wasn't too sure whether to kind of sort of do it, but I thought, no, I had a very strong urge to do it. So I have like a pendulum and I just sort of like went over the map and the areas that he was supposed to have been and that. And it started vibrating right at that specific point. And I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I was like, my feeling is so strong. I'm so convinced that he was there. And yeah, happened to be there.
Mad. What would you say that feeling is, if you know what I mean? Like if you had to describe it to someone.
What the intuitive
As in, yeah,
feeling?
like the feeling where you knew that that's where he was, and you just know. Like, what's that feeling?
It's really hard to explain. It's like a gut wrenching feeling, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just
So,
know.
so I've seen you've had like lots of comments on that video and others since then of people asking you to kind of delve into other similar situations. Is that something you would ever consider, or is this just like not something you feel comfortable doing these days?
I was 100% consider it because there's a lot of unsolved cases. And I sometimes feel like, as I said earlier, like psychics are not really taken that seriously with things like that. But sometimes I think they should be because, if we can predict somebody's outcome with a job or relationship or something like that, I don't understand why we're not seen in a serious way to kind of find someone.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% interested in delving a bit deeper with things like that.
So when it comes to like your regular sort of job, like everyday psychic stuff, like what's the most common issues you deal with?
The most common thing that people want to know is pregnancy, fertility,
Wow.
and relationships.
Okay. And have you got any kind of stories of where you've basically either helped someone in any of those kind of aspects, or basically helped someone have a relationship, I guess?
Well, it's actually a fertility story. Actually, this lady came to me, and she was pregnant, and she said to me, "I've just been to another psychic, and they've told me I'm going to have a miscarriage. Can you do me a reading and see if you can pick up the same thing?" So obviously, I was very nervous to do it, but she said, "Just be honest with me, like, I can take it." It came out that she was absolutely fine. She was going to have a lovely, healthy baby, and she did. She had a 10-pound healthy boy, and she said to me, like, "You've literally got me through my pregnancy. If it wasn't for you, like, I probably would have had lost my baby through stress." Because unfortunately, you do get a lot of charlatans out there, and they like to scaremonger a little bit.
This is something I wanted to talk to you about, was like the perception that people have of psychics.
Yeah.
When you see them on TV, historically, it's been people like Mystic Meg and that kind of thing, where it's been a bit of a joke. So,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on that kind of thing?
I don't know if we've seen. I mean, back then it was a bit of a joke. I remember watching Mystic Meg on the National Lottery, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And but now I think it's more of a case of one of the things I hate that most people say is that we shouldn't charge for a reading. And that's something I get quite a lot
What's their
from.
logic for that, though? Because it's your job.
That's what I mean. I sort of, my logic is it's a job. You still got to pay your bills at the end of the day. But I think it's just a case of, well, if you can help people, why are you charging for it, sort of thing. I don't know the logic myself, but my response is always, I've got to pay my bills. Simple
Yeah.
as. Yeah.
So, have you seen more demand for your work over the past couple of years?
100%. Yeah,
What do
100%.
you think sparked that?
I just feel like back in the day it was a bit of a taboo subject, but I think now everybody is just so open spiritually. I just feel like it's not a taboo subject anymore, and I don't know, people just seem to have more of an interest.
Do you
But I
think?
think,
Go on.
sorry, I was just going to say, I think now a lot more people want to do it as well.
Hmm.
I
Do you
think,
think the pandemic may have changed people's perception? Because obviously everyone was indoors, people were worrying about life and stuff like all the time.
yeah, 100%. That definitely is where I saw an increase in my bookings.
Hmm. And what is it that people were looking for at that time?
I think clarity. I think everybody was so panicking, like suddenly the world had stopped, basically. Um, so yeah, I just think everything must have been heightened. Their relationships put to the test, their
Hmm.
work put to the test, because none of us could go to work at the time. Um, so yeah, I think they just wanted some reassurance and clarity. But my bookings definitely went up. But also, that was a time where I really started my business. I wasn't actually that established before COVID.
Hmm. You must have had some odd incidents over the years, like some funny, weird situations. Like, so what's the weirdest kind of situation that you found yourself in with this job?
Um, oh, you throw me on that one. The weirdest situation. Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know what a weird situation. I can't think.
Or like
Um,
like a funny one, or even like a really awkward one.
oh, do you know, you've absolutely thrown me. I can't actually think of I can't actually think of an awkward or funny situation.
Fair enough.
It's probably because I work from home, so I don't really sort of I haven't been. Do you know what? I haven't been. But instead of a funny and awkward situation, I've been put in weird situations, if that would make any sense.
Yeah, yeah, go on.
Um, so basically, when I go out, I am very intuitive with feeling. Like, I know something's going to happen or something's going to kick off. So I've been in a couple of weird situations in that respect. One time I went out with my friends. We were going to this nightclub. It was a well-known nightclub as well, and I got there. we'd got all dressed up and everything like that, and I walked near to the entrance, and then I said to the girls, I can't go in. I literally have to go home, because I had this horrible gut-wrenching feeling that something was going to happen. And obviously they trusted me, they trust my intuition, so they followed suit. The next day I woke up and it was all over the newspapers and stuff like that. They'd shut down because it was absolute chaos. People were glassing each other, people were stabbing each other, and yeah, it never opened again. But that was a weird situation.
Wow. This may sound like a strange question, but where do you think
No.
that intuition comes from? Because a lot of people would say it could be a higher power, or just something you just don't know, kind of thing. So where do you think that comes from?
Do you know what? It is inexplainable, because I do ask myself every day, like, you know, is it a normal thing? But do you know what? The amount of people I talk to, they're like, it isn't normal. I wouldn't know if something was going to kick off. I wouldn't have those sorts of feelings. But I honestly can't explain to you how or why I get them. I just get them. It's to me, it's normal, but obviously it isn't, because yeah, no one else seems to have that sort of intuition. But I do feel like everyone is intuitive, but it depends whether you listen. Like, have you ever been driving or walking or something, and you thought, I'm not going to go that way, I'm going to go that way instead, and you don't know why you've gone that way, but you've just got a feeling, and then suddenly you find out something's happened. I think a lot of people experience that, but I think the level that I experience is pretty much all of the time. I always kind of know what I should and shouldn't be doing.
Have you ever kind of watched something on the news or whatever, and kind of had some feeling about it, and something has happened like a day or so later based off that feeling?
Um, Not in terms of predictions, but I don't know if you remember the Nicola Bulley case.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was very much interested in that case in particular. I had feelings about what I felt happened to her before, you know, it happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely one thing that I felt quite intuitive about.
If you could kind of give a message to like police and services like that, who, as you said before, don't really take it seriously, like what would that be?
Um, just to kind of give some psychics a chance. I mean, I know there are charlatans out there, but if there is a psychic with a high profile that's been known to predict things quite regularly, and been pretty spot on, I think that they should definitely be taken more seriously. I'm actually working on, I don't know if you know this case, but it's the boy missing Jack from Bristol.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I've been using my pendulum on that case, and I'm pretty sure with certain things. But obviously, if I went to them and said, "This is what I think, this is where I think he is," they probably wouldn't take me
yeah.
seriously. But yeah, it's definitely an
You,
avenue I think they should go down.
I was gonna say, I mean, we as a newspaper, when we speak to people like you and other psychics, like, and you tell us this is where we think it is, we always give it the police, and we're always ignored,
Oh,
even if
really?
it's completely accurate. Yeah, yeah, we get ignored. So yeah.
Mhm.
So just kind of on the business side of what you do, like if somebody came to you with a request, like how would that meeting or kind of appointment work, regardless of what the request was?
So, what if somebody wanted a reading?
Yeah, just how does it work?
How
Like,
does it work? So, obviously, all psychics are different. I definitely believe that. But for me personally, if someone was to book a reading with me, they'd go via my website, and then I always ask for a photo, because that photo is what I call my connection point. So I'll then look at that photo, look them in the eye, and I know it sounds strange, but it basically is my way of introducing myself to them, their energy, and their energy to me. So I familiarise myself with that person, and then yeah, and then I just get all the information. Just literally comes to me. I will like piece it all together, and then once I feel like, because it comes out like a story, is the only way to describe it. I get visions, words, and everything like that. Once I've got my story and I know exactly what's going on in that person's life, I then record the reading and say, this is what I think's going on, that's what I think's going to happen, and then send it over. It's pretty simple, but I do like to work with a photo.
okay. What impact do you think things like social media and that have had on your line of work these days? So obviously I came across you through TikTok.
Mhm. I think for my line of work, social media has been a godsend, literally. Especially TikTok. TikTok is definitely the place to be because, we're able to like build a clientele on there, but also as well, you've got the TikTok live. So I tend to go live and do the streaming, and a lot of people seem to absolutely jump on that straight away. So yeah, it's good for business, definitely.
Cool. All right, brilliant. That is literally all of my questions. So do you want to kind of give out your details of where people can find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, which is Official Psychic Jen. And then my website is www.officialpsychicjen.com.